Hey guys, Chris Lynton here from Tribefit, and today we have a very special guest with us, Matt Wolfs. How you doing, buddy?
Good. How you going?
Yeah, really good, Matt. And you're down a little bit further south of me. How's the weather is it Melbourne?
Melbourne, yeah. It's quite nice, actually. A moderate autumn morning.
Fantastic, mate. Fantastic. And we were just talking about before, guys, about what Matt's got planned for the week, for the weekend, and all that sort of stuff. But we'll dive right into it. So I guess first and foremost, Matt, could you tell us a little bit about your background and why anyone should even bother, taking the time to listen to this and actually absorbing what we're going to be going through in the next 5, 10, 15 minutes?
Yeah, sure. I've been a PT now for 8.5 years. So have gone through pretty much every phase of evolution that you can as a trainer. So started out working in the commercial gym scene, cut my teeth there, built up a successful one-to-one face-to-face PT business out of the commercial gym. And as often is the case when you're ambitious, you'll hit the ceiling. And when you hit the ceiling, you've got to do something different to continue the growth. Opened up my own gym and went into group training and had the gym for 5.5 years or so. Very, very successful, tremendously successful. Same thing again, you hit the ceiling of, well, the gym's fantastic, but we're just in this small pocket of this small area of Melbourne, and I'm very much a big picture thinker. And so now we have closed the gym and are 100% online.
Beautiful, mate. And so how long has it been since you started online?
Started online, we first got into it probably 2014, I would say, but didn't really take it seriously and really start to sort of realize, shit, this is big and this can be big, until around probably 2016, 2017, when that's where it's like, okay, this looks like it's where not just the industry could be going, but where our business is starting to shift towards. So we just noticed that more and more of our clients were signing up with us from places that weren't local. So other side of Melbourne, interstate, overseas. And that's when we realized, like, we've got to really take this seriously because the business is tracking now in this direction. And I'm not a fan of resisting change. If that's where the water's flowing, go with it.
Yeah, mate, I love that analogy. And it's there's always little clues and signs of where you should flow. And a lot of people don't listen to those. And as a result, they end up, thinking, oh, why isn't this as easy as it should be? Or you're kind of trying to swim against the current.
And I've done that myself. And it leads to a lot of frustration and stagnation. So I prefer to embrace the change. If it's there, you just go with it because it's, I'm not going to say it's seamless, but it's more doable in a faster space of time because you're embracing what's actually happening rather than pushing back against it.
Yeah, good call. Cool. So in terms of who is your ideal client? What clients do you help and who do you generally help?
Well, my wife and I have very successful weight loss transformation backgrounds ourselves. So wife and I have lost and kept off a lot of weight together. So I can say generally we work with people on weight loss, but it's more a case of we specialize with people that have a certain set of problems. So I can't say that our ideal client is a certain gender,
yes,
because we have lots of males and females. I can't even say it's a certain age because our age tends to range from early 20s through to 60s. It's more a case of the problems that we solve with people. So people that have gone through the diet treadmill, they probably, the people we work with tend to think that they've tried everything and they still struggle with, emotional eating, binge eating, comparing themselves to others, distractions in terms of, shiny objects that appear in our industry, the latest gimmicks and things.
Yep.
They're usually intimidated by gyms. And most of the intimidation comes from the fact that they just don't know what they're doing. And a lot of the feedback that we get from the people that we work with is they just don't know where to start anymore because they've tried all these different things. They've had no success. And it's like, well, shit, this doesn't work because I've tried everything.
Yep.
And our people tend to think that they're the only people on earth that can't actually get in shape.
Yeah, mate. And I guess anyone that's listening in on this is, targeting or finding who your ideal client is, your niche or whatever. Matt's been phenomenally successful. I'm going to talk about it in a sec. And part of what creates that success is truly understanding the real problems, the big problems, truly understanding, the people you're wanting to help and how to help them in a massive way. If you're trying to sell a shake diet to one of these people that obviously Matt is talking to or whatever, they might, back in the day, they might have spent $20, $50, $100, whatever it might be. But that is not solving their core problem. That's not listening to what their issue is and actually trying to help those core reasons. And as a result, it doesn't get them to where they want to be, and it doesn't keep them to where they want to be. So Matt truly understands that and dives down into not the surface level problems, but the true problems. And as I always say, if you help big problems, you can be rewarded in a big way, both from a financial perspective, but also from an emotional perspective, truly helping people.
Yeah, it's very fulfilling.
Very much.
When you go sort of below the surface to the actual root of where the pain's coming from. Because most people, like the people we work with, they look at something, say the scales, they look at a number on the scales and think that's the problem, where it's not the problem. The problem is what got them there in the first place.
Yep.
And that's what we sort of work to flesh out.
Of course. And that's the difference. I was just doing a session just before this on low ticket sales versus high ticket sales. And Matt, so can you tell everybody what your average package, time frame wise is, and I guess cost wise would be for a client?
12 months minimum sign up, $4,500 for the 12 months.
$4,500, guys. He did not stutter. That is not, something that you heard from the audio screwing up or whatever it might be. 12 months minimum, $4,500 per client. Now we're talking low end is like shake diets and whatever. That is more than likely more than they've spent with one solution for some time. Maybe over their life they've spent 50, 100, whatever it might be, trying to solve just one problem. But by Matt not scratching the surface and getting into the deeper level big problems, as you can see, he doesn't want to sell 4-week get shredded things, because that doesn't help. So I guess, how do you find when you speak to someone, how do you find the conversation when you can't? It's like, well, it's going to take 12 months and it's going to cost this.
Well, we have a very thorough screening process. So we ask the people that come to us to jump through a few hoops.
Great.
Before we even consider talking to them. So it's more a case of we're not applying to be their coaches, they're applying to be our clients, which obviously there's a big difference between those two. And all of our sort of external marketing in terms of our blogs, our podcasts, any videos that we do, we're constantly beating the same drum. So the people that tend to come to us and go through those hoops, they know in advance that, okay, these guys only work long term. So they've usually already gone through that hurdle to begin with. And when we put the price in front of them, that's another way in my mind of, I suppose you could say that we try to scare them off. And if we can't scare them off, they're worth keeping. So the ones that are deadly serious and they trust us, and there's that sort of rapport that's been established, like they don't care because they think these guys can help us. And all of a sudden they're not thinking to themselves, well, I'm now paying money for training or nutrition because no one pays for that. They're thinking, I'm going to work with these people that I trust and they're going to help me solve these problems.
Yeah, mate, that's awesome. And I guess anyone that's listening in on this, if you've ever done, if you've ever tried to close a client and they say, oh, you maybe, and then you've gone, oh, well, I'll train you for a week for free before and you can see how it goes, or, I'll give you 2 weeks for free, or the first session's only going to cost you $1 or whatever it might be. That's the exact opposite to what Matt's talking about. And you've probably, if you've done that before, you've probably seen the lack of commitment, the lack of actually, people listening and taking in your information, because you devalue yourself so massively. And as a result, you don't actually help the person, because you might give them a free week of training, but they don't listen, they don't turn up, they don't value it, and then they're back where they want to be. So by doing what Matt's doing, he's truly helping them commit to what they want to achieve, and helping do that. And mate, I've seen some of your testimonials, your before and after, phenomenal.
That's what it's about. Because I know in my mind, if we bring people into the business that aren't going to get us a transformation and a testimonial, like we just wasted time and they've wasted money and those things aren't coming back. So we've got to make sure that as much as our clients are betting on us, we're kind of betting on them.
Beautiful, beautiful, mate. And I guess in terms of, once again, from the credibility side of why you should be listening to what Matt's saying, he doesn't just have 2 or 3 clients. Matt, what would you say since just in the last year or two, financially, just to help people get a picture of it, what would have your online business done last year and then I guess in the last 12 months?
It was been growing considerably, where it's now multiple 6 figures.
No, that's
and it started at 0.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. I remember you mentioned that in essence, the online has more or less replaced in a big way everything you're doing face to face and with the gym without all of the overheads and all that.
It has. So we're currently projecting to have our second biggest ever year in business, but it's second only to the year when our gym was fully packed out, as well as our online program growing. So it has been just replacement. So we've been replacing the income with online, except the overheads are dropping dramatically, and also the time consideration is changing. So it's no longer, running 25 or so hours worth of training sessions at the gym. It's all here in the office on the computer, and then you go and live your life at the same time.
Yeah, mate, that's beautiful. That's fantastic. And obviously being able to help people around Australia and the world rather than just people in your local area.
Yeah, that's really important to me, because I know for me, I'm not really interested in being like the biggest fish in the fishbowl. I want to be the biggest shark in the ocean.
Mate, well said, well said. So I guess in terms of tips, so I know we've talked about this in the past and how you approach, I know you've talked about, so people have to come through a filtering process, jump through a couple of hoops before they get to you, so they're primed and ready for a good conversation. How, I know that you've told me this about this in the past in regards to the 12-month commitments and all this sort of stuff. So if you could give anyone listening to this, if they're struggling, selling small packages for low price points, other than the filtering process, is there 1 or 2 tips that you could give them that could help them kind of move forward in that journey?
Yeah, you've got to really know the people you're working with and have a realistic time frame attached to how long they need. So part of our process is if someone isn't prepared, like this, why the 12-month screening process is so important for us. If someone thinks their goals, and they've got a background like us, and they're like, say, heavily overweight, they've been dieting on and off for years, and they think they're going to fix that in 6 months, they're not ready for us. So it's a case of knowing specifically the people you're working with and the time frames involved in actual permanent change. And then you've got to draw your line in the sand and go, righto, these are my minimum standards, and I'm not backing off from them. And that does take a bit of courage in order to be able to say to people, you know what, this is not the right fit, and that's okay. Because not everyone's ready for what you do, and there ain't nothing wrong with that. Yeah. So you've got to have those minimum standards and not back off from them. And then if you are building credibility within that market, the right people will actually start to come to you. Yeah,
mate. And it's a lot of people in the early stages, I find, a lot of the younger guys and all that sort of stuff, is that they believe that, let's just say they're going for the same market as you. They believe that, if I sell a 30-day shred ebook for $20 or whatever it might be, and tell them that they're going to lose all the weight and keep it off for life, that's going to be easy to sell. But in actual fact, it kind of, as you get to really helping people in high ticket sales, it flips on its head. If they smell a bit of BS, if you're telling them that they can lose 50 kilos and keep it off for life from an ebook and do that in 30 days, all of a sudden their BS radar just clicks. Like everything else could have been aligned, and as soon as you tell them something unrealistic, they're like, hang on a sec, you've just lost credibility with me. And as Matt said, there is telling the truth, being upfront. It takes courage, but it's counterintuitive. You think that by low prices, low commitment, and all that sort of stuff, you're going to help convert. In actual fact, it's the other way around. Have you found the same thing?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a short-term approach, and also that approach tends to attract people who aren't actually ready to change, because the good ones will see through that very quickly. But the ones who aren't quite ready, who are just looking for the easy way out, they're the ones that will come and buy a solution like that, but it's not going to solve any problems. And then long term, it's not going to grow your business because you're actually not getting any proof of your work. Like ultimately, the business that we work in, all of us as trainers and coaches, it's a what can you do for me business. And if you can't show what you can do for people, like you're on the treadmill of selling these cheap things and you're constantly looking for new clients and looking for the next dollar, from where my wife and I are at, we tend to keep our clients long term, which is the way I prefer it, because you got a better chance of having those really impressive results that come from it that you just can't get in short-term periods of time. Like even our clients, we tell them like 12 months is minimum sign-up, but you probably will need longer.
Yeah, mate, it's powerful. And it's just a credibility bank. You just keep building that because you're telling them the truth when they've probably spoken to 100 other trainers in the last 5-10 years at a time. Oh, yeah, I can get it off this weekend, or we can do a detox, blah, 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 and whatever. And you're kind of actually going against the grain, mate, which is, it'd be a breath of fresh air for them. And I can understand why you're doing so well. Obviously, the money thing, guys, is not what it's all about. Charging high ticket is not just to go, oh, great, I've got a bigger bank account. But as Matt said, is that it is a commitment from them that they're going to listen, be motivated, implement. And if Matt was to do the exact same thing and sell it for $20, he wouldn't be helping them because they wouldn't commit.
There's no sense of value.
Yeah, exactly right, mate. So this is awesome. So I guess from your side of things, mate, if anyone else is listening to this and they've got a couple of online clients, they're not, feeling as though that they're able to attract great clients, charge the right prices. Do you have any, I guess, words of wisdom for them to kind of finish up for today?
Yeah, you would need to look in the mirror and sort of objectively look at what you're doing in terms of, am I representing the market I wish to attract in terms of personally? So, my wife and I work with people that have certain weight loss problems, but we can demonstrate that we've worked past those problems ourselves personally.
Yeah. And
we can demonstrate the results with that. So you've got to have results to speak to these people you want to work with to begin with. Then you would be looking at, well, okay, what am I saying to build trust with these people and how am I connecting with them? And now with the way the internet and social media is set up, there's so many different ways to connect with people. Like it can be, blogs, podcasting, videos, like take your pick. What are you doing to connect with these people that you wish to attract? And do you have the credibility to actually get their attention? Because there's so many online trainers and coaches now, and that number is not going down anytime soon. So the market is getting noisier. What are you doing to be, I suppose, disruptive? And actually, as you said yourself, Chris, be that breath of fresh air where you go against the grain and people are like, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's crazy when you put it that way. It's just so obvious, but so few people do it, mate. I appreciate your time today. Matt, if there's trainers that want to check out what you're doing, or there's people listening to this who want a transformation themselves and like what you're saying, how can they reach out to you? How can they find out more about you?
I'm easily found on Facebook. I'm always online with the work that we do, or you can find us through our awesome podcast.
And what's the podcast called? And how do you spell your last name in case anyone doesn't know?
Yes. The surname is Wolfs. That's Wolf with an S, WOLFS. And search for the Weight Loss Podcast on Spotify or iTunes. We're easily found that way.
Beautiful. Guys, check. If you want to reach out to Matt. He's phenomenal. Have a chat. He's had great success, as you can tell. And guys, it's just about doing the basics right, staying true to your path, and having that credibility and being truthful all the way through. So, Matt, thanks for your time. Loads of gold nuggets from that. And buddy, I'll let you get back to your day. And no doubt we'll speak soon.
Thanks, Chief. Appreciate it.
See you, mate. Bye.
Bye.